Hey everybody, welcome to tutorial number 12, Intro to Mobile Application Development for Behavioral Scientists. In this tutorial, we're picking up where we left off in the last tutorial, which explored putting together our first layout for things on our content page. Last time, we were starting to look at how we could arrange things on a screen in a way that is very deliberate and organized so that we can make things very clear and usable to the person working with your application. In the last one, I think we left off looking at how we could place items on a screen. I remember we did notice that we didn't see this label taking up as much vertical space as it could. And it turns out we really don't want center and expand. We want to say just fill the whole thing as much as you can and expand out as much as you can. We'll just tell it to do that for the vertical and horizontal. And we'll build and send that to the emulator. There we go. So now we see, you can almost kind of imagine that it's really taking up a third of the height and a third of the width right there. Now I don't imagine you'd want to have your app look anything like this. So I think before we do anything, let's say we're probably going to need, let's say we're going to make a title. First of all, let's get rid of this black background because it looks like a web page from the 80s. And let's just leave the text color at default. And for the background color, we'll get rid of that. And what we'll do is instead of putting, let's shrink that font down some, so it's not going to wrap around. Let's change it to 26. And instead of having that be off to that far right side, we're just going to change that column to 1, which will mean that it's the second one in or the middle. So this should be in the middle now. Let's take a look at what that looks like. All right. So now it looks like the label is it looks like at the top of there. Well, that's okay. We can sand that down some later. What we really want now is, I think we want like a title to kind of go up top to announce just what's going on. And you want it to be right at the top so it really kind of grabs someone's eye. So why don't we put another label in. And we'll start with writing label and that. And for the text, let's say my application's title here. Not very catchy. For the vertical options, let's say let's fill and expand. For the horizontal options, we'll fill and expand. Now since we want at the top, let's make it grid row 0, so it's right to the top. And what we'll do is we'll do grid column 0 2. Now what this is going to do is, since this title's pretty long, it's only going to take up that first column, and it's going to do that because it's going to run out of space and try to keep moving down. But we could tell this label that it's okay to span more than one column. So if we go to grid.columnSpan and say it's okay if you take up 3 columns, it should behave now like it's okay to start here but grow out as it can. So let's see how that looks. All right. So it looks like it's able to expand out, because this is where the second column is. But it really doesn't look like much of a title. It's kind of stuck in the corner. So let's tinker with that a little bit. Why don't we, for now, change the background color to blue, and here the background color to green, just so they could see what kind of space these labels are in for these grids. What we see here is we have this text, and for the title one, it's kind of shined, it's kind of hanging out in the corner here. It's not really right in the middle, kind of taking up all the space it's got. And it's kind of like the same for this one in the middle. So we want to tell Xamarin that for this text, it's okay to jump right there in the middle and get some more attention. And we do that by modifying some of the members in this label element. So I believe it's vertical text alignment. And let's say it's okay to take up the center. A label vertically can either hang out at the top, or the start, hang out at the bottom, which is the end, or jump right in the center. And why don't we say the vertical text should be aligned in the center, and the horizontal text alignment should be in the center as well. So let's see what that does to our title. Alright, that looks a little bit better. It looks like it's right in the middle, taking up a good amount of space. Stop debugging. I'm going to take these text alignment lines and we're just going to copy them. I'm going to drop them right into this Xamarin Forms label. We'll save it and we'll launch it, and we'll see how it behaves this time. Alright. So now it looks like both of them are occupying the space that they're assigned, and they're right in the middle. Alright, cool. Before we wrap up, we'll add one more thing. We've done labels so far, but labels are kind of dull. They just have a message that don't really do anything else. Let me add a button. We could do this just by adding our symbol in and just adding a button. Now this button is going to be blank unless we give it some type of text. Is it text or content? It's text. Text in the button. Let's say the text for this button should say "click me" and do exclamation point. And since it's in this grid, we really want to say the grid. Let's put this in the last row in the center column. Actually, we'll fix that like that. Let's see. No, let's see what it looks like for now. So if everything worked, there should be a button somewhere down in here. Oh, that's an ugly button. Yeah, we want to specify some of the vertical and horizontal options because it's making a guess, and that is a pretty ugly looking button there. You can tell you're meant to click it, but we could do better than that. I don't want to end a tutorial on that. Let's say for the vertical options, let's just center it. In the horizontal options, let's just center it too. Don't stretch it, don't grow any more than you need to, just try to put it right in the middle of that spot where in the grid where it's positioned. Alright. It's a little itty bitty button, but it does look more like a proper button. Alright, so that's it for today's tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're gonna remove some of these ugly backings, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach an event. We're gonna raise an event when this button is clicked, and we're gonna change up some of these labels so that whenever you interact with the button, it's gonna change something in the layout. So until then, stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel and check the website, and we'll see you next time.